Hi guys, welcome back to the Improvement Season podcast. It is me, Swole Steve. I need to remember this. Mike keeps telling me off for not calling myself Swole Steve. It feels really wrong to refer to myself like that. But hey, I'm here, I'm saying it. And Magic Mike is on the other end. And we've got Rob Wheadon in the house, who is maybe unknown to the majority of you, but soon to become known. And I'm going to quite quickly hand the mic over to Mike because he's got a plan in place for this amazing show that you guys are no doubt going to enjoy a lot.
Exactly. In the words of, if anyone has ever watched Blackadder, which is a famous English comedy, there is a character called Baldric, and he goes, "I have a cunning plan, my lord." So I have a cunning plan. But anyway, with that ramble out the way, so like Steve said, we've got Rob, and if Steve, basically, if every male bodybuilder out there is envious of Steve for his biceps, every male bodybuilder out there is envious of Rob for his quads. This is the Branch Warren of natural bodybuilding, basically. So you guys are going to want to check him out. But we wanted to bring Rob on the podcast because Rob we've known Rob for 2023. I think around 2023 we kind of like first met each other because Rob competed in 2023 and he's also been competing there. And obviously I'm spoiling Rob's thunder, but Rob's just quite a special individual in all the right ways. And we thought it'd be so nice to have someone different on the podcast for you guys to get to know, to also get an insight into the clients that we work with, and just to get a different perspective as well. So we really hope you guys enjoy this, and it's a nice change from just us talking about us. But with that out the way, and obviously Rob is a client of Steve's, hence why I'm going to be taking the lead a little bit with things. But to kind of get the ball rolling, Rob, rather than diving into the kind of talking about your background to begin with, I wanted to kind of just ask you, when it comes to food, do you have any weaknesses? Or in fact, actually, what's your favorite condiment to, say, like breakfast, so to like a Saturday breakfast?
That's the best way to start, isn't it? With food and bodybuilders.
Yeah.
Mike, thanks for the introduction. Do I get a special name?
So, do you know what? It's so funny you mentioned this because
I feel left out.
Yeah, so there's Swole Steve, there's Magic Mike, but we were completely at a loss for like what
I liked
goes with
rambunctious Rob, but I just like the word rambunctious in it.
It's a good
as
word.
alliteration. Rhino Rob, that's also like a bit of a rhino.
I'll take either. I just want a name. I'll take either. The question, Mike. So my favourite condiment with breakfast.
Yes.
Did you say? It depends what I'm having. So every Sunday, I don't know if you've seen it on my stories, but every Sunday I've got a thing at the minute for having a BLT. I love having BLT Sunday morning. Get up, nice cup of coffee and a big BLT. So 2 big sandwiches, 6 bits of bacon. Obviously at the minute I can get away with it with the phase that I'm in. And with that, obviously I'll just have mayo. But if I'm having a bacon sandwich, just normal bread, brown sauce. If I'm having eggs, red sauce. So I'm a pretty open book when it comes to condiments.
Do you know what?
So that would be my thing for breakfast, I think.
I love how you call ketchup red sauce.
Yeah, people always say that. Americans are the worst. Americans are like, what is red sauce?
Yeah. Do you know what's really interesting? So, what would you typically have chips with? Like, would you have ketchup or would you have mayonnaise, or what would you have?
Ketchup. It's got to be ketchup with chips. Yeah.
In Europe,
I do homemade burgers quite often, actually. Me and the girls, because I try and, Steve knows this, I try and have my evening meals when I'm on early shifts. I try and prioritize that to have evening meals with Natalie and the girls. So I try and make the meals as like family friendly as possible. So homemade burgers, chips, things like that I can have. And if I'm having that, I always have ketchup with my chips. What about you, Mike? Is it the same? Ketchup?
It is the same. I asked the question because so my dad lives in Belgium, and in Europe on the continent, chips with mayonnaise is the thing. Like they don't have it with ketchup. It's like
No.
mayonnaise is the one. So I'm like, oh, that's very different.
Yeah. I
I
can't
have
do. What about you, Steve?
I have a quick question. I am red sauce all the way. I always find it funny when people, I don't know where is it somewhere in the country people call it red sauce. I don't know where that comes from. But brown sauce I do call brown sauce. So it's like HP sauce is like what people refer to it as.
Makes more
I grew
sense
up with
red, right?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I grew up with red sauce. I guess it's ketchup, tomato ketchup. That's not branded. It's just Heinz. Anyway, I'm ketchup all over basically. Mayo. I have a bit of a phobia with mayo. I had a bad incident with mayonnaise when I was in Magaluf with the boys, and when I was like 18 years old. One of them basically drowned me in it, like just chucked loads of mayonnaise at me, and I couldn't get it off. And I went in the shower. They chucked it all on me in the shower, and I just have this like PTSD of mayonnaise, but. It does go very well with some things. I just can't have a lot of it and know it's there, basically. I was going to ask Mike what condiments he even has in his house.
What
Do you have ketchup?
No. Oh, no. So, right. I don't have ketchup. I don't have the red sauce, but I have it. They call it Kansas barbecue sauce. So it's like I can't even think of the name, but basically barbecue sauce, but it's quite a smoky barbecue sauce, and it's really good. I love barbecue sauce.
See, now you're making me think. See, I could do barbecue sauce with chips. You'll get me going now, Mike, because I would say ketchup is standard, but barbecue sauce, I can do barbecue sauce with chips.
Oh,
Mike, I've got to come and visit you. I need to come up, stay at yours, and we need to go for a gym session, don't we?
100%. You'd
I'll
love
bring some
it.
ketchup with me.
bring the red sauce. Bring the condiments.
Yeah.
We'll have all the sauces. It's fine. We'll have a rainbow of sauces. It'll be great. But do you know what? So you mentioned about Natalie and the girls, and I think that kind of leads really nice onto something which I actually really admire a lot about you, Rob, and I think a lot of the listeners will be able to relate to you, is that you've really got a lot of different aspects to you, because you're not just a natural bodybuilder. Like, as you mentioned, you're a family man. What people don't know as well is that you work shifts. I think you work and sorry if I'm getting this wrong, but you work in like a garage as well, which, so, and not only that, you work massively long shifts and have a family, but you're an online coach on the side as well. You work for Physique. You're a coach at Physique Coaching. So, like, you're spinning a lot of plates, and I would just be really fascinated to know, I guess, like at the moment, how do you balance that? I guess more than anything.
I think the biggest thing is being prepared. And this is something that I always say to my clients, and it's something Steve would say to all of his as well, is when you've got a lot of things going on, and funny enough, me and Steve spoke about it the other week where we was talking about training volume and how much you can recover from, etc. And we was talking about how different lifestyles, that has the impact that has, and how different people can recover different amounts because of what they've got going on. So I've got quite a lot going on, so we have to pull back quite a lot. As for managing it, I think it does come down to just being prepared in advance, down to having like your water prepared. So first thing in the morning, you've got the litre of water ready to go. I've got, any vitamins, capsules, anything like that I'm taking in the morning is ready to go. The creatine's there. My coffee is in the machine, ready for me to press the button. Everything is where it needs to be, because I just haven't got the time to dilly-dally or try and think of things on the spot. My food is all prepared and ready to go. That's a big one. And my days are just very, from the minute I get up until I go to bed, they're very like, it goes like that. Everything has to fall into place and click into place. For anyone in a similar position to me who is spinning a lot of wheels, that would be, if they are struggling, that would be the biggest thing I would say, is looking at your time scales through the day and really planning the day out, even down to, I know that I'm training at a certain time, so I know that I need to eat at a certain time at work, which takes into consideration my travel to and fro work to let the food digest, et cetera, et cetera. So I would say that's the biggest thing, is being prepared. But yeah, working the shift works. Doing the shifts has its like pluses and negatives. It means that I can move and this is another thing for, anyone with families, et cetera, is making sure that you can try and prioritize the time with them, and anything you can do to shift bodybuilding or anything like that outside of time that's going to impact them, move it. So for when I'm on a late shift, I start work at 1:30 in the afternoon. So I train in the mornings, which is perfect because Natalie's working and the girls are at school. So I would get up in the morning. I'll take my youngest one to school. The eldest she gets the train now. She's getting the train to school by herself. And then, so I get up and I eat first thing in the morning, take Rose to school, which lets that digest. On my way back, I have a pre-workout. Then by the time I come in, I have about 20 minutes or whatever to let the food settle, etc. Then I'm straight in the gym, straight in the shower, straight to work. But the main thing is that time in the morning, it's not impacting my time with them. So I try to remove any training sessions from the weekends so that it doesn't impact my time. And then when I'm on the opposite shift, an early shift, I train in the afternoon. So I normally start training about 4. That's probably the biggest impact it has on my time with them, because Natalie finishes work at about 5:30. I normally finish training about 6:30. But I think if you just do your best to try and minimize the time that it impacts, like Natalie, for example, is very tolerant of it. She's very supportive of it. But I don't think that would be the case if she could see me coming in or sitting around in the morning, for example, before a late shift, and then training when I could have time with her.
Mm.
Sorry. I was just going to say something, just as an addendum to that. Rob is, for those that don't know, go check out his Instagram. I'll make sure that's tagged so you can check out not only his amazing quads, but just his physique in general. He is a fantastic competitor, and we're looking to take him to the highest level. And he is also committed to doing that, acting in his off season as a pro. And you can just hear it through the way he's spoken through it. Planning, Rob is unbelievably good at having a plan and having everything in place. So meal prepping across the weekend, so you have everything sorted for the week. But what Rob is also fantastic at, and what makes him able to be at the high level, is he makes this sustainable for himself. I think Rob is one of the best balanced bodybuilders I can speak to, because he just really does prioritize family ahead of even the bodybuilding. People, I think, who think, oh, how do you have a pro mindset and also prioritize family ahead of bodybuilding? Hopefully a lot of listeners no, that still makes sense. Family comes first, and Rob absolutely does that. Make sure the bodybuilding complements life overall and doesn't take over, because again, it wouldn't be sustainable. Natalie would not let that take place. You wouldn't feel good about it either. So when there is opportunities to be with family, that those are taken. And if I had a hat on, I would take it off to you, Rob, for doing that, because it always impresses me how level-headed you are with all of that. And yeah, it's easy to get very selfish with your bodybuilding, but you're not. So I just wanted to add that a little bit.
Oh, thank you very much. I appreciate that.
And I think it's just, I think it's a great example of what you always say, Steve, and what we say is bodybuilding should enhance your life, not detract from it. And again, that's something that you've done so well, Rob. And when we're talking about you competing at the highest level, we're not joking. So we'll get into this as well. Obviously, you last competed in 2023 and you qualified for the WNBF Worlds, and you came second in the lightweight class. Yeah. So we're not joking at all. But one question I actually had off the back of what you were just saying earlier is, what, obviously sometimes things come up in the day that might throw things off or whatever, maybe the kids get sick or something. How do you manage if something if a spanner gets thrown in the works? I guess, what's your kind of mindset in how you kind of manage that, both mentally but maybe also logistically as well?
Yeah, again, I think my routine is so solid that it very rarely goes wrong, to be honest. But obviously it does from time to time. Like you say, things come up with family, etc. And I think it's just a case of looking at the day, looking at the breakdown of the day, and thinking, okay, I've got to go and pick Summer up from school because she's ill, and Actually, it happened the other week, actually, because all the trains were cancelled. So my eldest, Summer, couldn't get to school. So I had to drop her off to school. I picked a couple of her mates up because they couldn't get to school. And I ended up getting back really late. So essentially what I did, I just looked at my training session, and some of the easier exercises I moved and spread it out through the week. It's been, and this is, again, something I've learned off of Steve and Mike. I know you do it as well. You've got to be adaptable. And when you're spinning, like you said at the beginning of the pod, spinning a lot of plates, you have to be adaptable. You have to be able to adapt to things coming up, move things around. And again, I think it's communication. So if something does come up, it might be a case that I do have to say to Natalie, look, this week, which happens very rarely, I'm going to train Saturday because this has come up. I've had to move a session around, and she understands that. And if she says, well, no, hang on, we're doing this on Saturday, I say, okay, well, I'll move it. Maybe I'll do it Saturday afternoon, or I can even do it Sunday. And sometimes it can interfere with things because it may mean I'm doing like a few sessions like crammed in or moving things around. But ultimately, if you zoom out, you're still getting everything done that you need to do. And for it to be sustainable long term, you have to be able to do that, I think. Like you said, I'm doing my own coaching on the side, and that, as you both know, you have to prioritise your clients. They're paying, they're of utmost importance. I'm very lucky with my clients. I can, if I give them enough notice, I can move their check-ins around. They understand that I'm working. They know, my situation. They're very understanding of that. But again, being in a position where you're able to juggle things around, I think helps. And again, just having that, being able to look at days or weeks, even, weeks in advance. If we've got, Steve knows, I always try and move my deloads, for example. If we're planning or not planning if I need a deload, I might even try and string one extra week out so that I can deload on my early shift, because what that means is my sessions are shorter on that week, which means I get more time with Natalie and the kids in the evening. If I did it when I was on a late shift, they're not around anyway. So the time that I've gained back there is wasted. Or not wasted, I'd find something to do, but it's time that I can claw back to try and give back to them.
Yeah, definitely. It's always kind of like that zooming out and thinking of that bigger picture and planning, definitely.
Yeah.
Do you find that helps when you speak with your clients and that you're giving clients advice as well?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because I preach it. If any of my clients are watching this, they'll be like, yeah, he's always banging on about it. Because one thing I'm always banging on to them about is doing a bit of planning preparation in advance. If they are busy, because if people are telling me they're busy, I'm like, if you plan and prepare this, set some time aside, there's no reason why you can't get this done. I know, because without, I do it. I manage it. And if I can manage it, then you can manage it. I think it's a case of how badly you want it, actually. I think that's what it really comes down to. If you really, really want it, you'll be willing to invest the time, put the time aside, and get it done, I think.
And do you know what? It's funny, actually, because sometimes it's perfectly okay not to want it as well. Like, I think sometimes you've got to know yourself and say, like, hey, not us, but like someone else. It's like, hey, I'm not trying to be a, elite natural bodybuilder. I just want to look good naked type thing. And, in that scenario, like, hey, just be cool with that, and maybe you don't have to be as, sort of planned, but still, like, everything that you've just said, Rob, all of those things are still helpful. It's just maybe it's just not quite as a priority as maybe it is maybe for us.
No, absolutely. I think that's something as a coach you have to understand, right? Is sometimes you get lost in this. Well, I do it like this, so but you have to be understand different people's goals, I think.
So it just reminded me of something I heard of recently, which I think links to what we're talking about here in regards to, like, do you want it or not? A lot of people want £1 million. They don't want to be a millionaire, in that you don't want to do what is required to become a millionaire because it's freaking a lot of work and horrible hours and so on and so forth. But you do want that £1 million, similar to, like, people want that elite natural bodybuilding physique, but they don't want to put the time, effort, and kind of the amount of degree of planning and that sort of thing into it, because it takes a lot.
Yeah. I think sometimes it's easy to look at, sorry, Mike, I think it's easy to look at someone like you, Mike, like Steve, or like myself, and think that it's a lot easier to do than what it actually is. And then when the reality of it sets in, of what it does actually take, years and years and years. People don't always want to do that. And again, like you quite rightly said, Mike, that's absolutely fine. I think as long as they understand that, as long as they understand, look, to look like this, naturally, to progress like this, these are the things that you're going to have to do, depending on how seriously, the results that you want. And if you're happy to accept that you don't necessarily want to put that amount of effort in, but you accept that means the results might be not as great, then that's fine. That's absolutely fine.
And just to kind of not go on a tangent as such, but kind of go back in a way, how long would you say that you've been bodybuilding or training for now, Rob?
Ooh, how far do we go back? Because I'm one of them that was training in my shed when I was a kid, because my dad had stuff, and I think my dad had like a York bench, the with the attachments.
Classic.
And that. Yeah, with the plates that would fill up with sand.
Yeah.
Ones.
The plastic silver ones.
Yeah, so I used to go and do a bit, going back to that sort of age. But I know I joined the gym properly when I was about 19, and I didn't really understand. I always knew that. I think the thing is, I always knew that I needed assistance, I needed guidance, I wanted to be taught, and I wanted to learn. So I immediately got a personal trainer. Was he the best? Looking back now, absolutely not. But he did give me a start, and he pushed me very hard. So I started off training very hard. And I think, as we all know, like that is one of the biggest things. Are you training hard? Yes, big green tick. And then I started to get more into nutrition. And that was actually through another bodybuilder I met in the gym. I say bodybuilder, he wasn't the greatest, but he knew more than me about nutrition. So he started saying, look, you need to really increase your protein. So all of a sudden, I'm 19, 20, and I'm, getting adequate amounts of protein in, but I'm also training hard. And I'm very young, I'm very new to training, so progress came quite quickly. So I was quite lucky with that. And then eventually I kind of wised up to the fact that the people around me didn't actually know. Not that they didn't know what they was doing, that's the wrong way of putting it, but I wanted to further my advancement. And so I moved then to a proper bodybuilding gym and then started training with other bodybuilders. They were actually enhanced, these guys, but they pushed me really hard. So again, that big green tick of, was I training hard? Yes. And I think, so that goes back to maybe like early 20s. And then it was about 26, 27, I started to really take things serious. I was quite late actually to the game. I'm a lot later than a lot of people, because I was 26, 27 when I would say I really started following a proper program, logging my training, about 26. And then it was 27 that I got a coach, who was Luke from Physique Coaching. And that's when I decided I first wanted to compete, was 2018. So yeah, I've been in the gym training, lifting weights for a long, long time.
Rob,
well, just quickly, 20 years.
Most people, I don't actually know this about you either, Mike. When I first started lifting, I was skinny as a rake. Were you skinnier or on the chubbier side?
So is that me or Mike?
Oh, sorry. I actually wanted both of you to answer. So Rob, you go.
Look, I mean, looking back now, I was skinny. Definitely, I've never in my life, not that there's an issue with it at all, but I've never in my life been like on the chubbier side. Well, I've just never been like that. I've always been active. I've always played football when I was younger. I've got a physical job. Not so much now. I'm off the tools now, but yeah, I've always had quite a physical job. So, and then I've always trained. So I've never been that like that.
I was definitely the chubby kid for sure. I've never been skinny in my life, unfortunately, because I wasn't very good at sports. So I never, even football and stuff like that, I just wasn't great at it. So I just always, I'd be like playing video games or just in my own little world, as I am. So yeah, I tended to be the chubby kid.
Yeah. So I think, Steve, I think I've seen you've posted pictures of you when you was younger, right? And
yeah,
you progress, great.
And most of them is funny thing is most of those pictures are when I'd already been lifting for a few years. So it's still so skinny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, yeah, Goes to show, like you said, when you give it a decade plus, you can take yourself to heights I never could have imagined taking it as far as where I am now. So, but it's always interesting hearing about people's where they started, because you either tend to start like on the skinnier or like softer side, and a lot of people like yourself, Rob. Were you very competitive? Any sports you did? You said you played football. Was there any sports you were like? Did you take anything to a very competitive level?
No, not really. I wouldn't say it was nothing like. Obviously, I'm based in Kent. It was nothing like Kent League level or anything like that. We was a good squad. Don't get me wrong. We was at the top end of, I suppose, what you would call like amateur. And I played for the school and things like that. I think I was just very active. I ran for the school in athlete, sprinted for the school, things like that. I always won sports day races. I was just quite, I guess, just quite sort of powerful, especially in the lower body. So I was quite quick, things like that. So yeah, just always being active. But no, I never took anything else to a really. I started off as a right back, and then eventually where we used to play, I was like a sweeper because I was quick at the back, so I used to be able to catch up with the fast strikers. What about you? It's because you played, didn't you, Steve?
Yeah, I was defence as well, mostly. I played midfield a little bit. I wasn't a glory hunter striker. That wasn't me. Too much pressure playing up front and trying to score goals. I much prefer trying to get the ball back than having the ball.
Yeah. What about you, Mike?
I played FIFA.
I thought you were going to say chess for a moment. It is a sport, right?
Yeah, exactly. I'm not. Do you know what? I did quite well at darts the other weekend in that little social. So do you know what? Actually, that's a complete lie. Well, not a complete lie, but so the sport I played when I was younger was golf, which is obviously, it's movement. It's a bit of physical activity. It's walking. But that was actually the main sport that I got into because my parents are massive golfers, so I kind of played that. But then when the iron bug and I got into the gym, then kind of golf has kind of gradually gone away. So yeah, but I still have a bit of golfingness in me as such, but nothing athletic like football.
We should go play golf sometime.
That'd be literally fun. Come to Whitney. Bring your sauces. We'll go play golf. We'll go train. It'll be great. Do you know what? I'm going to just plan a weekend retreat, and it's going to be great.
Yeah, good.
I'm terrible. I can tell you now that I'm terrible. I played a couple of times, and I was like, "This is not for me." Maybe as I get older, I take my hat off to anyone who can play golf because I know that it's really popular now, right? Like lots of people play it, and it's a real skill to be able to do it well. So, I definitely, maybe when I'm a little bit older, I think maybe when I give up if I take on any more hobbies, then Natalie will just, she will not be too happy with that. I did used to play the drums. Not that that's a sport, but I played the drums for a long time.
Nice.
I used to love doing that. Yeah, that was one of my other hobbies.
Mike, you played what was it? Was it saxophone?
Cornet.
Yeah, you go. I knew it was some Wheadon instrument.
Yeah, I think I've heard that before.
Yeah. What did you play a musical instrument, Steve?
I'm not musical in the slightest.
Oh yeah,
I haven't got a musical bone in my body. I hear beats. I can't even hear the lyrics. I just hear beats going.
But I tell you what, just to bring things back a little bit to Europe. So you obviously first season was 2018, right?
Yep.
So and then you next competed 2023.
Yeah, so I started in 2018. I like I said, at this point, sort of 26, 27, I started taking it a little bit more seriously. I was training with a guy who competed at a good level on the enhanced side in the UK. And he kept saying to me, why don't you compete? And I kept on umming and ahhing about it. And then I looked into it more and more, and I found, because I really didn't want to go down the enhanced route. And I found, luckily for me, I started to discover like the MPA, the UK DFBA were the first ones that I found, and I thought, I can do this without taking that. This is good. And then it started to make me think, okay, this is what I want to do. It clicked for me. But again, the same as when I started when I was 19, I knew that I wanted to know more, and I didn't have that knowledge, which is why I reached out to my coach at the time, which was Luke. And again, it was a smart move on my half because he introduced me then to 3DMJ. Blah, blah, blah. And actually, that 2017, 2018 was probably when I first started watching Steve, because I thought, okay, I'm going to go into these competitions. I looked up the MPA, and I think, Steve, one of your first competitions was MPA, I think,
Yeah,
and
it
I
was.
found it at one of your vlogs. And I was,
Oh,
and
those
I,
old ones.
yeah. But I mean, we're going back some time now, but they're the ones that I watched
Yeah.
first, and that kind of introduced me to what it was all about. And I thought, yeah, okay, I'm going to have a go at this. And then that's when I got Luke. Steve, I was 95 kilo. I thought I looked jacked. I was 95 kilo. Now, you know what I look like at 82 kilo. So you can imagine what I looked like at 95
Yeah.
kilo. I was
Big
carrying way
boy.
too much body fat. And I dieted down to 72 kilo for my first competitive season. So it was a rough diet, but I managed it, and I just kind of thought, well, this is what it is. So, and I think I compete with the UK DFBA. They did a novice class at the Ben Hall, just a novice USN Classic it was, and I got third. And as soon as I did it, I loved it. I loved the process of dieting. I loved how hard it was. I loved the challenge of it, and I'm quite a shy sort of person. Like if I went to a party, or you will never ever catch me on a dance or anything like that. I'm more than confident to talk to people and things like that, but I'm not that guy that's going to get up and dance. That's just not me. But put me in a pair of pants, put me on a stage, I'm more than happy. It just, as soon as I got up there, I was like, yeah, this is great. I love this. And the feeling when you come off, and I placed as well. I got third in my first show, and I was just completely like over the moon with it. I loved it. I fell in love with it then. And then I think that year I did four competitions. I qualified for both of the nationals, and did okay at the nationals as well. I think I got third at the MPA nationals in the novice class. And from then it was just like, yeah, okay, this is what I want to do. I now want to invest my time into this. And stayed with my coach at the time, Luke. And then eventually that's how I started coaching with Luke, because I just learned quite a lot off him, got a good base of knowledge, done my own learning, and started coaching people myself. And then, yeah, I ended up doing a bit of an off season myself. But again, I knew I wanted to take it to that next level and that's when I reached out for Steve then in 23, because I'd run a bit of a diet myself, and then reached out to Steve and said, look, this is where I'm at. This is the sort of shows that I would want to do. Would you be willing to take me on at this point? And luckily for me, he took me on.
Mm. Was it just literally that case of like after you'd run that diet yourself, you were kind of like, I know I need help with this, or was there anything that particularly tipped you over the edge to thinking, no, I'm definitely going to get a coach, rather than almost like self-coaching potentially?
I knew that I would want a coach through my prep. I don't think I'll ever prep without a coach. I take my hat off to like Steve to do it yourself. I just, as you said, again, it comes back to the spinning plates, right? The last thing I need is that added stress or pressure of making decisions for myself, like should I pull food or whatever it may be. And plus, it's recognizing your own amount of knowledge and experience. I think is knowing, okay, I need someone else with that extra bit of knowledge and experience to get me to where I want to be. Otherwise, not that it's a waste of time, but you can spend a lot of time and then not quite get the results that you want. So I'd rather invest, learn, and have guidance. And that's exactly what I did with Steve.
I love it. I think, and again, this is something which I respect about you so much, Rob, is that you kind of, I think you're very humble. Like you know, you know what you don't know in a sense. And, I love a quote. It's like, he is wise who knows he does not know. And, and also to Steve, who you had on the Revive Stronger podcast, you had, can't remember their names. But they said like, hey, if you respect the coaching process, you will have a coach yourself. And I think
The guys from Propane.
that's it, Propane Fitness.
Johnny and Yusuf, yeah.
Yeah, Johnny and Yusuf, like they were the ones that said, like if you respect the coaching process, you have a coach. And again, like you totally brought that to my head when you mentioned that.
Yeah, Rob.
Go on,
sorry.
Sorry.
I was just going to say, it's so cool hearing you talk through even your experience of like getting help initially with Luke from physique coaching, just like the fact that you're that open-minded, and it just speaks to our coaching kind of relationship in that sense. I'm always so happy that you're so open-minded to being coached, very coachable, I'll put it in that way. But always on the other side of that isn't just, hey, give me orders, tell me what to do, and then not give me any feedback. It's very much like a dynamic relationship where we can talk to one another. And I appreciate that massively about you, because I think it's one thing to get a coach in your corner, but it's another thing to actually allow yourself to be coached.
Yeah, I think most coaches have had a coach or will have a coach at some point. There's things that I pick up from Steve, I learn from Steve, even in his approach to his check-ins, etc., because he's done it for a long time. He's coached a lot of people and had a lot of success. So why wouldn't I use that? I see it as it's an investment into myself for my own bodybuilding, but it's also an investment into my own education, and then I can pass that on to my own clients as well. And eventually what I would like to do, similar to you, both of you guys, is use my own experience as a bodybuilder to coach bodybuilders myself as well. Eventually, that's the end goal for me, is to move into that kind of niche. But it's very hard to do when I'm spinning all these plates.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
I could go down the right direction. I think one thing I wanted to ask you though, Rob, is to walk us through your 2023 season. Walk us through that. What was your kind of experience of 2023?
2023 was great. It was a great year. It was awesome. I loved it. It was tough, don't get me wrong. I look back, actually, I had Instagram, Facebook do 2 years ago or 3 years ago, whatever it was. And I looked back at what I looked like in January 23. So probably just before I reached out to Steve, and I looked just completely different. So my starting point was completely different, but dieting down, I started with Steve, I think in March, and I was around 81 kilo-ish, somewhere around there. So we dieted right through the summer, and then we went into, I think the first show we did the UK DFBA Southern. And I'd said to Steve that I hadn't competed since 2018. So I didn't really know what I was going to look like or how I was going to fare against other competitors, because this sport moves very quick. It's getting better and better. The better you get, the better the others get. And that's just something I've learned, is you get better and everyone else gets better. But I went, and my goal for the UK DFBA, Steve had already planned out for me that we wasn't going to be at 100% at that show. It was my first show back, dust the cobwebs off and see where we stack up. And it was quite a competitive class. It was, who was the top three? Me, Finn, and Charlie, can't remember his second name, Neil. Anyway, it was a solid top three. And I certainly looked competitive, and I got third, and that really gave me like a confident boost of, okay, you're still competitive. You can still do the business. And then we continued to diet down from there. And I just looked better and better the leaner that I got, basically. And then we went into, I think I did the UK DFBA, I obviously qualified for the Nationals. I think I did the Nationals and didn't place, which I was really disappointed with. It hurts, doesn't it, when you don't place? It really hurts. I don't know where I placed, but I placed outside of the top 5 there. But again, it's an international show. The standard of competitors in the UK is so high, especially at a national competition. You have to go in there knowing that if you come out of there as a top 3, I think you're going to be a competitive pro. I think if you're placing winning classes in the UK at a national standard, then you're going to be a very high standard pro at some point, for sure. So I didn't place there, but then we went on. Yeah, we went on to then the Supernaturals, and that was the first WMBF show that I did. Absolutely loved it, and that was a funny show, actually, because I think they placed me third. Finn was second, and then there was another guy that was first, but it was purely accidental. But the guy he was foreign, he didn't quite understand that it was an amateur show, and he was a pro. And I'm glad he was a pro, because he was very good. So then they moved it, and I was second. at the Supernaturals, and Finn got first.
Imagine if he didn't win. That would have been like, people would have
in
been like, what?
Yeah,
It could
what's gone
happen
on?
though, quite easily. Coming to a UK amateur show, like as a non-UK competitor, it's that competitive. Anyway, go on, Ross. Sorry.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah. Then that's when I got the invite to Worlds, and I sort of sat back, and it was a bit of a shock because I never expected to. Like I said, it was kind of like, okay, I haven't competed since 2018. Let's just see how I fare. I did really well at the Supernaturals, and then got the invite out, and yeah, it was kind of like a last minute, like, right, we need to get the money together, plan to go, and all of that, you know, which I did, and I'm so glad. The experience was just great. It was honestly so good. I just loved it. You know, flying out to America, being part of a team out there, meeting other people, being around people, you know, like from 3DMJ, all of that, you know, these are people that I've watched. Like I said, I started watching him since 2017, 2018. All of a sudden you're standing next to these people, they're competing, you're competing. And then, yeah, that was a big club. We went out, and me and Steve, I was kind of on the cusp of middles to lights, and we was trying to, we know that I look better when I like sort of carb load up through the week. So we just taper it up through the week. So we know that we can push the carbs and I look better and better to a certain point, but we didn't want to, when I weighed in, we didn't want to be too heavy because ideally I didn't want to be at the bottom end of the middles. We wanted to, and you know, you go in looking the best. And if I'd have landed in the middles, that would have been absolutely fine. But as it happened, I managed to get in at the top of the lights, which worked out perfectly. And that was a big class. There was 17 people in that class. It was a big class. And yeah, I remember standing there, and I knew that I looked good. And Natalie, bless her, she's always backstage with me. She always comes backstage with me, and she's very good. Steve, you should put her on the judging panel. I can sit there and I can say, I think they're going to place there, and there, and she gets it right every time. So I know if I'm backstage and she says to me, "You're looking good," I know that I'm on point because she also won't lie. She, you know, if I look at her and she's a bit like, "Oh," I know that I'm probably in trouble. If she says I'm looking good, I know that I'm on. And she said, and because she also looks around at everyone else. So I knew backstage I was probably looking okay. I had the confidence and the backing from Steve as well. And then, yeah, I got a second. And I remember getting the top 5 and thinking, this is crazy. Like, I did not expect to make the team. I didn't expect to go to America. And then to them get called top 5, because it's only the top 5 that get to go and do their routine, right? So, yeah, I got called back to do the routine, which is really cool. And I remember just standing there and just they're calling these names out. And I'm looking around, I think there's only 2 of us left. And funny enough, the guy that beat me, I thought the guy that had come third was better than me, and also better than the guy that had placed first. So by the time there was the 2 of us stood there, I thought, for a minute, I think I've got this, you know, which was an amazing feeling. Obviously, I was not disappointed one bit to get second because I was just sort of ecstatic to just be there, you know, and fair play to the guy as well because he looked great and he deserved the first place. But yeah, it was just a really awesome experience, just great. And, you know, anyone who wants to get into natural bodybuilding, wants to push themselves, it's just so worth it. The process of it teaches you a lot. It teaches you a lot about yourself, how hard you can dig, and if you do manage to go to a show, even just doing, you know, a local amateur show, they're great. They're so enjoyable. You meet different people. There's a lot of camaraderie, and there's just something about it that I love it. And I would, if anyone said I'm thinking of doing it, I would encourage them to do it. But get a coach, get a good coach as well to help you.
Mm. I think something that came to mind there as well. The other thing is you might make mistakes, but there might even be small things which you might not necessarily say are mistakes, but you know you can do some parts of the process a little bit better, and you think, not only if I come back and improve, but if I just can handle that little element a little bit better, that's going to just, you know, all of those little 1%ers, etc., like add up, and it just really stokes your fire to come back again, like in the next season or whenever.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this. Sorry, Steve, go on.
No, it's all right. I was just going to say something I wanted to touch on there was obviously you kind of talked about being at the UK FBA finals and not placing in that top 5, but then going to Supernaturals, coming third, and then going to World, coming second. I think it's one that just shows people that, like, hey, it's not like you're a football team and you're just better than other people and you're going to just win. It's who turns up on the day. You can also improve through the season, but also allowing yourself to have that acceptance. Like Rob didn't place in the top 5, but he didn't sulk. He didn't give up. He didn't throw out the towel. He improved when we went to the Supernaturals, and you took it on as a challenge. And I think that's just a great lesson for people. And for myself too, like I saw you go through that and also just be like, wow, like this is awesome. It motivates me as a competitor to be like, hey, like don't let your losses drag you down. Just like don't let the wins get to your head too much.
Yeah, well, again, Steve, something I've learned and watched and been inspired by from you over the years is, when you first started off, you wasn't doing so well, but you just kept going. And now just look at the physique that you've got. And this is something I've said it to you before. I've told you this before, that I think the progress that you've made and the fact that you keep on making progress is just so impressive, and it makes other people believe that they can do it too, right? And the same as Mike, like how far Mike has come. I know Mike's not like me; he doesn't share his physique every other day. He keeps himself to himself. But,
it's not impressive.
But when I do see it, no, that's not true at all, Mike. When I do see it, I'm like the progress is really, really, like, it's huge. And that's actually something else I wanted to touch on, because obviously lots of other people will be listening to this. And there used to be this thing about, like, obviously your progress does slow down. But one thing I've learned or found is that if you just keep on going, just keep on ticking along, it just happens over a period of time. It really does. It doesn't happen overnight. Of course, we know that. But another thing is I've sort of learned and watched myself go through it over the years is, okay, so maybe now, I mean, I'm 35. I've been training, like we said, for like 20 years. So probably I'm on that end of, it's kind of hard to continue to progress like I did back then. But life changes and things change in favor of growth as well. So although you're getting older and perhaps things are set against you, there's also other things that are going in your favor now. So when I was younger, when I was 20, I was less educated on it. I would push myself for injuries unnecessarily and keep myself out of the gym for 2 or 3 years. I would make silly mistakes or stress over things that I didn't need to stress about. Probably back then when the girls were much younger, and Natalie wasn't earning as much money as she does now, I had to work more hours. Now I work less hours. I've got my coaching now, which subsidizes me a little bit. So I can work less hours. So I've got more time available over here. So I think the point I'm making is that I hate hearing people say that they're just not, like, that they think they're not going to continue to progress, because without going down the enhanced route, you can continue to progress. And people like Mike, Steve, Eric as well, I've seen recently, Eric Helms, because he made lots of progression over the last year or so, right? And I think a lot of that is because he's just changed his training approach, right? Because he used to dip in and out of powerlifting. So it comes back to the point of, okay, I had things going for me when I was 20 because I was younger. I was what you would call like a novice, and gains were easier to come by. So they're harder now, but I've got things going for me now. I've got more education, etc. So you can use things and take things to your advantage that you didn't have back then. And you may have lost certain things that were an advantage back then, but you can continue to progress. And the proof is in the pudding when you look at, Steve, Mike, myself, if you want to look at my story. And that's very inspiring for me, because it means that even, the plan is to compete this year. Even after that, I know that I can continue to push and I can still make progress, and that won't stop.
Yeah, the results don't stop unless you stop, is the way I always think about it. They keep coming. And I think the best bodybuilders are just so unbelievably in love with the process, because it is all process driven. You tick those daily boxes day in, day out, and suddenly a year down the line, you look back and reflect, you're like, oh shit, like I'm actually much further than I thought. But if you keep checking, am I there yet, every week, which is where maybe taking too many physique shots can sometimes harm you if you do read into them too much. You can't treat it like a fat loss phase and see the scale go down every week. But those investments add up, and yeah, the payoff in the long run is evident. So yeah, you couldn't have said it better myself, Rob. Well said.
Yeah. So, and that's another thing as well, is I hope that at some point like Steve does and like Mike does and will, that you can inspire others, because I do generally, Steve knows this because I've suggested a few ideas about how we can make natural bodybuilding better, and it's very hard to do. But yeah, I love the sport of natural bodybuilding, and I want to encourage people to not only go down that route, but continue to go down that route.
Yeah, I honestly, I love it so much. And you made me think of there, Steve. In a way, we came kind of full circle, because it's like, some people want the outcome, but do they want the lifestyle? Do they want the process? And we all know that the outcome follows the process. So, and you just got to stick with it. But Rob, I would be really interested to know, like, because you said that you're competing this year. It might be too early, but what would you say that what's kind of like your, I guess, mindset, or I guess like, do you have like a mindset as you kind of approach this season? Because obviously we haven't spoken about it, but a big goal for you coming into this season, or that next big goal for you, is to turn pro, to be a WMBF pro. And yeah, I'd love to know, like, if you've got a particular mindset or how you're kind of approaching this particular season.
Mindset wise, I would say my goal is to turn pro. That's my goal. But at the same time, I'm also, I won't be it's hard to say I won't be disappointed, but I will be disappointed. But I also understand how tough this is. And I also understand I'm not a genetic like freak, like some of them are out there. So I've got my qualities the same as anyone else has, but it's not an easy thing to do. And as you said, I mean, I'm working in a big garage. There's a lot going on there. It's a stressful job. Me and Steve have spoken about that. It's heavy haulage vehicles that we maintain, repairing, and it's it's a big place. There's a lot of technicians there to look after, so that can be quite stressful. But my mindset towards it is, I have a goal. I will do everything that I can to reach that goal. I've aligned everything the best I can, even down to speaking to my company and saying, look, I want to move some of my annual leave to next year if possible. So I've had less annual leave over the last year to allow myself to have extra time off if I need it. I've saved money for it. I've got Steve in my corner. When I finished in 23, I've stayed with Steve for an off season. The progress has been more than I've ever made since being with Steve. So I think I will be disappointed, but I can accept it knowing that I've done not the best job in the world, because I can't, because as we said, it comes back to spinning lots of different plates, but I've done everything within reason that I can to try and give myself the best chance possible. And I think I can come off stage at the end of the year, pro card, no pro card, head held high.
And I love that so much. And again, it comes back to what we were saying about Steve and Eric Helms. Like, so Eric, I can't remember how Eric's 40. Is that right?
In his 40s, I think. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, he's only just turned pro, and he's been competing for multiple seasons. And it's like, hey, it might not be this year, but you just never, ever know. If you just stay in it and you keep grinding and you keep making progress, don't ever count yourself out. It could happen.
Yeah, I think the other thing to remember is that we do this because we enjoy it.
Yeah.
We love the process of it, and we love the competition, right? So I'm doing it because I want to do it. I'm doing it because I enjoy doing it. So it's kind of like a win-win in lots of ways. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and say I don't want to turn pro, I don't want to win. Of course I do. I've put a lot of effort into it, And another thing I want to say about being, like, because we spoke about being a family man, all the rest of it, I think at sometimes you do have to look at yourself in the mirror and understand that I do take time away from them. That is part and parcel. I do my best to limit it, but that is a conscious decision of myself. I've consciously made that decision. We all know bodybuilding comes with sacrifices, and that is one of the sacrifices. It is time. It doesn't matter how hard you try, it is going to impact it. But I think to be able to look at yourself and say, that is the truth of the matter, is that I do sacrifice time on it, but I'm okay with that because this is something that I want to do. I also think that it inspires the girls heavily, and I think it sets a very good example for them as well. Like you both saw, I think they did their cheerleading competitions last weekend. It was great. I absolutely loved it. To see them go and, to train and do something and prepare for something and go and do that. And I'm not saying that because I bodybuild they did that, but I think it sets them an example, and it's something, whatever it is they decide to do, they've seen me work, come in tired, still train and still do the things that I need to do. And I think, set an example for your kids or inspiring your kids is great as well.
Yeah. I love that so much, Rob. And I'm kind of conscious of time because I could literally talk with you for like hours and hours and hours. But like one thing that I thought of saying, but I kind of think you've already answered it, was kind of I was wondering about, even after this season, if you have any like, long-term goals, both like inside bodybuilding, outside bodybuilding. But I think in a way, like you've kind of answered it, because it's like, hey, you want to pass on your knowledge and experience to others. You want to coach, you want to eventually hopefully coach bodybuilders to stage. And like, yeah, I think it's just so inspiring and fascinating. Steve, I don't know if you've got any questions at all that you wanted to ask Rob.
Probably. I was just thinking, hey, we've been here almost an hour. We could just make this episode all about Rob. I'm quite happy about doing that, rather than trying to, I don't know. I don't know what I thought. My thoughts were somehow this would be a segment and we turn the episode into half this and half Q&A. But I think the listeners, and just it's better for continuity and everything, just to make this a great chat. So I think we can kind of keep going. But I did want to mention at least a thought in regards to everything Rob was saying there, in terms of, I think that's a really healthy mindset to have about competition. Is, of course, you go in there and you'd be silly not to be disappointed if you have a goal and don't reach it, but it's not dwelling on it. And it's just being like, hey, did I do everything in my power to get that? And I think I would hope a lot of bodybuilders, rather than kind of taking their self-worth from their wins, it's a case of taking your self-worth from your ability to adhere to the process, doing things that others wouldn't do, doing what you said you would do. And so more so focusing on like the effort that you placed in that versus the outcome. I think if you have that in mind, you kind of can't be dissatisfied. It's like, hey, did I win? No. But did I do everything in my power to do so? Yes. So what's there to be upset about? Let's get back to work. I think that is just a powerful mindset to have. And the fact that you do that, Rob, and your daughters see you do it, definitely will influence them. Just like we learn and we apply it to other areas in our lives, like other people can see us doing it and it can influence their kind of approach to what they're doing. So the passion and love you have for bodybuilding is contagious too. Like just hearing you talk about it, Rob, it's awesome. So I imagine you've probably inspired a number of people kind of on that edge of thinking about, should I compete? Sounds pretty good.
Yeah, I just think like I say, the whole process teaches you a lot. It teaches you a lot about yourself, and these are skills that you can just put into other things as well. You can put it into work, you can put it into business. Even if you come away with nothing else, but learning that high protein is good, resistance training is good, getting out and moving around every day is good. You take some of these practices that natural bodybuilding promotes, and it's going to enhance your life, right? It's only, I think, when we take it to extremes, so when we come towards the extreme ends of competition, that it can negatively impact. And I think, and again, Steve, this is something that we've spoken about quite a lot, is, I will be much more flexible. I still hit my goals in my off season, and I've treated this off season pretty much like a competitive season because I've got this goal. But there's times when I'll say to Steve, look, I'm going away, or we're doing this, or we're doing that. And Steve is just encouraging of it. He's like, take this time to make the most of it, because there will come a time when you can't do that. Or you'll be less able to do it. It will be less practical to do it. So I think making the most of them times as well is important. And again, I think if you have got a family, if you are even, I'm quite lucky at work. Like even the people at work, because I'm foreman now, right? So I can be in charge of quite a lot of people, and they know when I'm dieting because my attitude changes. But they're very understanding of it. I think they all get the ump at me for sure, but they are very understanding of it, and they're all very supportive of it. And I think that comes back to another thing, is having a supportive family background, all of that. Natalie's very supportive. I'm really, really lucky. The girls are very supportive. I remember competing and having them when they in 2018. Summer would have. I can't work it out, but she would have been very young. And I had my nieces there, and they had little signs for me in the crowd and all that. It's great. It was great, you know.
Yeah.
I loved it, and I still love it now. And they're still very supportive of it now. You know, the girls, if we go out to Worlds, they want to come. Obviously, it depends on money and things like that. But to have that support, and also not just that, but brothers, sisters, friends, family, all of that, you have. I think a support network is very useful, and then also having the support of your coach. So the coach isn't just telling you what to do; it's having that support network there, having people like you, Mike, that I can talk to, or Andrew, you know, these other people that have been through it, they've walked the walk, all of that. Having that support network is really important.
Yeah, I think it's just your point of me kind of encouraging you to take the time for family. It's sort of similar to you banking holiday for the competitive season. It's like you're banking, hey, I've given you time here because I know I'm going to need to pull on my selfish lever during prep, or I'm not going to be able to give you that time. And again, if you weren't finding that balance, I know people don't love that word, and it looks different person to person, but then you wouldn't have that support network, because they'd be like, why would I support you doing this thing that I fundamentally find like just grinds my gears when you are so selfish about it? But you don't do that. It comes back to what Mike said, like it enhances your life, doesn't take over. And like you said, it's a very healthy endeavor, apart from the extreme of stepping on the stages and when you're in that kind of short time zone.
Yeah.
To that point as well, like I think you've got to recognize the season that you're in and going with the flow. So it's like, hey, enjoy where you're at right now. It's like, right now we are in the improvement season. So it's like, yeah, enjoy that flexibility, recognize the season that you're in. But likewise, it's like, right, okay, we're prepping, so we do have to be a little bit more diligent, a bit more on it. We can't be as flexible as we were, but that's okay too, because there are other, you know, benefits to that as well. So I think it's lends itself to that as well. And one thing that I thought of as well, I think that the just amazing thing about having a family such as yours, Rob, is that, like you said, whether you get a pro card or whether you don't get a pro card, whether you win or come last, your family are always going to love you. And so you will always have them no matter what. Like you said, they are going to be waving, they're going to be cheering you no matter what. So actually, who gives a fuck if you don't win a pro card, because they're all that matter at the end of the day.
Yeah. Yeah, no, it's a great way. So I'm smiling because one of the things my youngest daughter, Rose, I remember in 23, because I sort of explained to her that, look, Daddy's going to do these competitions, but I may not win. Like, it's very likely I won't win. And she'd done this poster thing, right, saying, come to my daddy's competition. He may win, but he may not win. You never know. You know, so she's at that young age understanding that, okay, he may not win. So yeah, it's great, and it's great to have that. And the other thing as well, I mean, sitting in it now, having the home gym makes a huge difference. And again, that was about minimizing time, maximizing time. And it comes back to, like I say, preparing in advance and saving as much time as possible. Even if it's a 10-minute gym journey, that's 20 minutes that you get back. You know, and this has turned into something more than what I thought it would. I was quite lucky with the space that we had and being able to do it at the time. But having the gym at home is a huge benefit, you know. And you don't. One thing that's taught me is you don't need a huge amount of stuff. You do not need a huge amount of stuff. I see so many people on Instagram and that now, and they want this particular machine and blah blah blah. And I get it to a certain extent, and there's definitely benefits to it, but you do not need it. You just don't need it. I've trained in here for the whole time that Steve has coached me, and you know, we've made plenty of progression. So I've gone off on a bit of a tangent there, but I think my point with that one is that you don't need to be at the best gym in the world with the best top line equipment. You know, look at Jeff Alberts.
Mm-hmm.
How are you for time, by the way, Rob? Because I know we said to you it was going to be like 45 minutes and it's gone over.
No,
okay?
I'm fine as long as you guys are, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, no problem. I'm glad you brought up the home gym, because I was going to say, was that a calculated decision based off the fact that again, you don't have a lot of time. So if you can save time commuting, so on and so forth, it's going to be of a benefit. And I also wondered, was it just a happy consequence of lockdown and you went that way? I don't know if you had it before the lockdowns kicked in.
No, it was a happy consequence of the lockdown. If we hadn't have had lockdown, I don't think I would have ever even contemplated it until I'd have had the space or time become a real restraint, which it was starting to become. I mean, I look back now and there was times when I was, because I had to wait, I'd finish work, pick the girls up, take them home, cook them dinner. I'd wait for Natalie to come in. Then I would go to the gym, and I'd be getting in from the gym at 9:30, 10. And Steve knows I get up at 4 a.m. to start my morning shift. Looking back now, it was not great. Anyway, during the lockdown, I got really lucky. So I could not train, so I needed to train. And my uncle put me in touch with a guy who runs his own business, really clever guy. And he had to basically stop running his business, but he's so clever that he basically started building squat racks himself. Mike, you've seen my rack, right? You've trained all that. So that rack was built by a local guy here, and he started selling them. And I got in contact with him, and he's also well into his training. So we just kind of clicked. And he said, look, I'm just going to, have you got a space for a rack? And I said, well, no, but I can get one. So I phoned my uncle up and I said, I need your garage. So this is the type of family I've got, right? So he emptied his garage out. This is my uncle, so that I could put my squat rack into his garage. And I trained there for a year. My auntie and uncle. My auntie used to be in there baking her cakes, and I'd be up the other end of the garage. And so I got really lucky. He gave me that squat rack, Mike, with the pull down tower and that on it. I got all of that, and that's all I had to begin with. And then when the gym started reopening, I thought, I don't want to go back to a gym. So I carried on training in my uncle's garage, and then I bought the house that I'm in now. We had the space, so we then built the extension on him and decided that would be the way that I would go. It tied in with me pushing my coaching and perhaps doing some PT work as well. And it just kind of grew from there. And then in 23, when I was competing, I knew I needed a certain amount of bits and pieces, and I got it to that point just before we started competing in 23. And then it's just kind of developed from there. But I'm maxed out now. I've got no more room in here, and Natalie will kill me if I buy any more gym equipment.
To be fair, I call your gym the Maidstone Mecca because, and people might be able to see in the background, but you've got Kevin Levrone, you've got Dorian Yates, you've got Phil Heath, Arnold. No, is that Frank Zane?
I've got Arnold there, Dorian,
Arnold,
and Kevin Levrone. Yeah, I've got them all the way around.
Phil Heath, it's just literally, it's almost like you're walking into a mini Bev Francis gym. That's what it's like.
Yeah, I kind of love that style of gym. So, and that's the other thing. I wanted this to be a bodybuilding gym. I didn't want it to feel like part of the house. This is when I come in here, I'm training. This is the gym. The girls use it quite regular, which is quite cool. They've got their own programs, so they can get their own programs up and do their own little training sessions and stuff. So that's cool. And also it gives me a spot to do my coaching, because I haven't got like a little office set up. This is where I do it in here. So it works really well. And then, of course, it just saves so much time. And I remember when I was competing in 23, if I had to get up and train really early in the morning, when you're competing and stuff, as you know, you've got to travel, all of that. If I had to get up and do like a session, it's just there. Christmas, if I want to train, I know Steve loves training at Christmas. I still don't train Christmas Day, but if I needed to, I could. And it just makes it that much more. And like I say, if anyone has got the space, you can do it without going to a big gym. That's my experience anyway.
Definitely.
I think it makes me think of what you said, Rob. It's like, if you want it, you'll make it happen. The bits of it is maybe luck in terms of how things laid out, but if you didn't find it that way, you would have found it another way. You'd have made it work. So I think if you do love your endeavor of bodybuilding enough, you'll find a way to fit it in. And it's just about, again, finding your balance with it too. And you're completely right. Like the physique you've built and in your off season, just that we've had over the past years, is the progress speaks for itself. And that's based off it's a pretty comprehensive gym at this point. Like, you got your leg press, you got cables, you got, like you said, the lat pull down, barbells, dumbbells. We've got leg extension, leg curls. You got what you need, but people are like, I need this specific, I don't know, Nautilus lat pull down, Prime, whatever it is. It's like, you don't need it. It's a nice to have.
Yeah. Yeah, I think that's the thing, is it is nice to have. And if I went and trained at one of these gyms, I might be like, oh, I feel like I'm missing out a little bit. But the truth is you don't need it, I think, is my point.
Yeah.
And I feel like I need to ask you two a question, because I want to know this anyway.
Do you have
Mike,
one?
you 2027, Mike, right? Is that still the goal for you?
Well, I really want to see how much progress I can make with my upper body this year. So, like do you know what? I'm really not far away. This week has been one of the best weeks I can remember, to the point where, again, like today, I was quite emotional because I was like, fuck, my shoulder feels really good. And it's like, it's just been these last few months have felt so long. So hopefully we're not too far away from, specializing in upper body. But then I really want to see, like, right, it's been roughly 8 months where I've not been able to train my upper body properly or to the extent that I want. So actually right now, when I get the opportunity, I want to spend 8 months specializing in the upper body. And it really just depends on how much progress I can make there. But if that's the case, then 2027 will definitely be on the cards for sure.
And talk about inspiration, watching you recover from that injury, the way you've handled it and been positive about it. Completely take my hat off to you for that, because I don't know how I would handle that. Not being able to train properly, but the way, again, like I said earlier about adaptability, the way you've adapted to it and still managed to progress in areas where you can, I think is the way you've managed it, recovered from it and all that is inspirational as well, because other people would have just gone because of the knockback and all of that. So
I think I appreciate that so much, Rob. I think but do you know what? It's really important, I think, to go through challenges. And do you know what? Often they often say, sometimes you hear people talking about, like, trying to seek out adversity. It's like, no, you don't need to do that at all, because it's going to find you either way. And it might not be physical, it might be something else, it might be personal or whatever, but it's going to find you. And that's where you grow as a person. And I think we can't help other people if we haven't been through some shit and life experience ourselves. So ultimately, it's only going to help us be better people and better coaches.
Yeah, definitely.
I
guess such a stoic, controlling what you can control and making the most out of it.
I don't know if this is going to be like an exclusive, Steve, but what about you for what you want to do moving with the competitive side?
Yeah, so my ultimate ambition is, you mentioned the word competitive. I want to feel like I'm a competitive pro. That's what I want to feel. I don't feel that currently based off that season. In a weird way, I would have much preferred to have won the pro card the last show versus like the first. I'd like to have won some shows and then won the pro card. Maybe that would have been quite nice, but it was like winning the pro card and then bottom of the ranks within pro shows. It's a bitter pill to swallow. Like you said, not placing, it doesn't matter if you're competing as a pro or an amateur, not placing feels freaking awful. And what I didn't ever want to do is get that card, because I never wanted to pro card hunt. That wasn't ever the ambition. Going to the Netherlands was just, hey, it's like a chance to get the cobwebs off. It's cool to go out to the Netherlands. I was there, or Ireland was the two it was just chance. It all landed in its place. And then, I think for myself, I feel like I need to kind of feel like a competitive pro. That's the main thing and make the outcome I want. Obviously, you want to look better than last time, but I want to compete. And so if I don't get that for my next season, I'm open to being like, hey, I want to compete. So let's become an amateur again and earn that pro card when maybe I can actually be a competitive pro. Because I don't want to be making up numbers. Competing as a pro costs more. To just have that horrible feeling of not placing, it doesn't matter if I know I'm competing against better competition. It doesn't really, it doesn't quite do it for me. So that's my main objective, and I don't want to wait longer than doing it to 2027. I don't want to wait longer. I just have the enthusiasm for it. Life is in a place where it kind of results can come well. So I think I've given it enough time by taking the last year and this year as an improvement. And I feel confident that I'm going to go up there and be competitive. But it's as you said, Rob, like as you get better, other people get better. They're not standing still either. So the level of competition keeps rising. But I definitely know if the competition was the same and I bring about this physique in 2027 that I competed in 2024, like I'd be placing higher. So that's nice to know. It just needs to be enough. But yeah, becoming a competitive pro, I don't have ambitions. Like I think it'll be lovely. Like Eric Helms had the goal of going to Worlds and placing in a top 5. If I was to give it that, if I could place like top 5 in any pro show, I'd feel competitive. I think that's kind of my goal.
Yeah, that's pretty. I think it's there for you, Steve, because of the way that you just continue to progress.
I hope so.
I say I've told you this before, Steve, but I genuinely don't know another bodybuilder who has improved as much as you. From like day 0 to now, there is nobody. Like, show me someone, and I
appreciate that.
Yeah, but one thing that you did miss out, Steve, is you did forgot to mention about men's physique, because that is your other goal, really.
I've semi-joked about competing in men's physique, but the more I hit the poses and think about it, the more I just like, it's just not the one for me. Especially with the shaved head now, I'm just like, I'm not sure it's men's physique worthy. I'm not beautiful enough. I need a wig or a toupee or something. I don't know. Not that Rob's not attractive, but look at him, he's a bodybuilder.
Yeah. This is what the beard's about. It's to distract from the bald head.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, it's not completely off the cards. Classic for me is completely off the cards. I hit some side shots that can look semi nice and classic because I have big arms, but the more I hear about the way classic's going for natural bodybuilding is very structure based, and you need really beautiful structure to do classic. Like you have, Mike, you have nice small waist, sweeping quads, like broad shoulders. You love the posing too. I think I could get the posing down, but I do not have the rib cage and the wide clavicles. I have a wider waist. Like the more I do this, the more I realize actually my potential for hypertrophy is decent, because actually I have big joints and that helps put lots of muscle on it. And that's really, my mindset is still, it might to some sound like, hey, you're capping your potential if you just want to be a competitive pro. That's me kind of being realistic. I still am putting in effort to be unbounded. Like I am not like ruling out the fact that I might be able to place like top 3 at Worlds at some stage as a pro. That, like, I'd love to win Worlds, to win my class at Worlds. I mean, that feels a bit unrealistic, but again, it's not going to stop me trying. You never know.
And it never should. But I think, because it's interesting you mentioned also about Eric Helms, because I think if I'm remembering rightly, so when he competed in Worlds in 2024, I can't remember the last time he competed in Worlds when he first turned pro, and I think he came 5th. 23, sorry. But then this most recent season, he actually came 6th. And so technically on paper, like, this is a worse result, but he looked better and he was probably in a more competitive class. And I think that was, like, again, a great example of, probably the most important thing at the end of the day is, have you improved in some way? And, like, again, I was just like, great example there. And again, Eric's fired up and he's going to be making more progress.
Yeah. It's very well said.
There was a question I wanted to ask you, Rob, if we had the time to get to it, and we kind of stumbled upon it a little bit, but because you asked me about my injury, but you've definitely had your fair share of injuries as well, like with your back injury. I can't remember if you've had other injuries as well. I want to say your shoulder as well, maybe. But so, like, is there any lessons that you've learned from those injuries that either that, like, you talk about or that you advise to others as well?
Yeah, absolutely. I kept on having a reoccurring injury with my lower back, and the only time I've ever gone long times without having that injury is since training with Steve. And I think that's having someone say, "Hey, it's okay not to squat. and not to deadlift and not to bench press every week and then do barbell bent over rows and do all the hardcore stuff. You can do these other things that are actually supporting the back, but still allowing you to get a stimulus where you want to get it. And I think also having a control of the amount of volume you're doing. I think sometimes, because I could never pinpoint what was causing the injury. I could never say, oh, it was that deadlift, it was the squat, it was the bench. And I think looking back now at the past sort of 10 years and the amount of times I had that injury, I think it was the sheer amount I was doing, plus spinning all the plates, not probably being able to recover as well as other people. Other people can do it, not a problem. Like I look at AJ Morris and people like that, and the weights the weights they're shifting and all that. I just can't do that and recover from it, and that's the truth of it. And I think I was trying to do that, and that's what was causing me the problems. I don't think it was. I think it was just the amount I was doing, and that was perhaps a weak point for me, and that was the first thing to give out, because realistically, Steve, I think I've hurt my back once, Steve, haven't I, since working with you, maybe.
Yeah.
But that's it. Whereas before, I'd get to the end of a 6-week meso and be like, oh, my back's gone again. It's time to deload. And then I'd have, then it'd be another 6 weeks. And I was just pushing myself too hard, doing exercises that probably didn't fit, but I felt like I had to do at the time. And I don't do them anymore, and I don't miss them, and I don't need them. And I know that I don't need them now, because I've progressed more than what I've ever progressed, probably because I've been able to stay more consistent in the gym through just being sensible, and then being able to recover from what I'm doing. And the other injury in my shoulder, that was a motorbike accident when I was like 17. But they told me you'd never lift anything heavy. So I become a lorry mechanic and a bodybuilder. Yeah.
Literally proved them wrong.
Yeah. So apart from that, no, I've been quite lucky. But I've never shifted huge amounts of weight like you see some people do. Not that I'm saying that's that's going to make everyone get injured. I think that I'm just one of them that I don't need to do that. And two, if I do try and do it too often, it messes me up.
Definitely.
And that's another thing I would say to maybe someone coming up younger is you don't have to stick to certain exercise or something. If it's just causing you problems, then just remove it. Don't be stubborn. Just take it out. Try something different. And the other exercises that me and Steve have put in, if anything, they've given me a better stimulus, less fatigue, and kept me in the gym more consistently.
So good.
I did the same with squats the longest time, just stubbornly loving barbell back squats and actually being reasonably strong at them, but just beating me up in all the wrong places and giving me stimulus in the places I didn't need it either. Yeah. Remove those, and I don't miss them. Like, I actually don't miss them. You can find passion and love with the process within any lift. So absolutely, kind of managing Rob's volume has been absolutely key. And then it seems like the barbell RDL is just not a lift that your body loves. And it's interesting that it's such a, just like, hey, shift to dumbbells seems just fine. But I think accepting that sometimes can be hard, where we were like, oh, maybe it's gone. We'll try that lift again. And straight, it almost came back immediately. And it's just like, hey, that lift is no longer serving us.
Yeah, that's a really good point. I forgot about that, Steve. Yeah, I'm glad you brought it up, because we've been doing dumbbell RDL, right? And that's given me no issues at all. And I wanted to go back to barbell because I've only got up to 50 kg dumbbells, and we're getting up to silly amounts of reps now. It's becoming cardio. So we said, well, okay, let's go back to barbell. And I did it 1 week, and it was okay. And then the next week I was like, Steve, I can't do it. Like, my back it did cause me a bit of an issue there. So again, what is it, that particular movement? I don't know, but I know that perhaps the injury that's been caused in the past there, the RDL now aggravates it. Like, barbell RDL aggravates it. And I don't know if it's just a fixed bar path, because I can do an RDL no problem with dumbbells. Because Steve knows I'm trying to find a open trap bar that's got handles that can swivel. So then I can replicate the movement of the dumbbell. Because what I found with the dumbbells, as I go down, obviously my hands move. Well, you can't do that with barbell. Obviously, it's fixed. Not entirely. You'd have a much better idea than me, Mike, but I'm not entirely sure how that works. But I know for a fact that with dumbbells, I can go and go and go. With barbells, it's a no-go at the minute.
I find similar when I use a belt squat and I do an RDL on it, it feels beautiful. Like I get no like lower back discomfort, no like hip discomfort, and I feel all hamstrings and glutes. I go to a barbell, especially when I get strong at them. The next day I'm like, oh man, I'm stiff through my lumbar spine. It's just like, just feels off. And there's probably some biomechanical explanation for it, but it's like, practically I don't need to know. Like I can do barbell RDLs, but I'm probably better served more often using the belt squat.
That just reminded me just then again. So we spoke last week about, is it going to change what you do? We talked about blood tests and scans. Is it going to change what you do? And it's like, hey, even if we did know like, okay, if the barbell flares your back up because of this biomechanical reason, but it's not going to change anything because you're still just not going to do barbell RDLs potentially. So
it's just nice to know.
It's just nice to know sometimes. But I think, it's just sometimes not being rigid to a particular exercise if your goal is hypertrophy, for sure.
Yeah, there's no
Should we
need
wrap
to
it up,
be
Mike?
stubborn.
Have you got a final question for us?
Is that me?
Yes.
Sorry.
Yeah, have you prepared a final question?
Do you know what? So why don't we...
It's another food question, right?
Food question. So...
No, it doesn't have to be. I'm just joking.
Well, my kind of final question was going to be, there's basically been so many good take-home points from this, but maybe if I was just going to say, if you were to kind of maybe summarize some of the points that we've made, if you were to maybe just give one takeaway from everything that we've discussed, what might that be? That kind of just resonates the most.
I think one thing is, Steve said it, and that is that if you talking to, competitive natural bodybuilders or anyone who wants to do it, if you do want to do it, you will find a way. I think the planning and preparing in advance, if you are busy, is key. And I think cultivating a bit of a lifestyle as best as you can to enable bodybuilding to slot in, as opposed to like forcing it in, because that's just not going to work. That's going to allow you to be sustainable. And natural bodybuilding is all about the amount of time you're doing it for, right? And I think if you just keep consistent and keep going and keep ticking the boxes, you're going to go through periods of time. You might even go for a couple of years that the training's not optimal. There may be things going on, but if you just keep ticking away and plugging away, you can continue to progress. And I'm excited to see, what Steve looks like at 50. I'm excited to see what you look like at 50, Michael, what I look like at 50. And it's really exciting because I remember, I'm just dragging this out now, sorry, fellas, but, going back to when I was like 20, I remember eating this food and training. I remember the older blokes at work saying, oh, you're going to be knackered by the time you're 30. And sometimes I used to think that. I used to think, oh, man, when I get to 30, that's it. I'm 35 and I'm in the best shape, the better shape than what I've ever been. And I also feel better than what I've ever felt, as in, I'm, like I said, going back to the back injury, I don't get that no more. I'm making more progress than what I've probably ever made. So it's exciting, right, as a natural bodybuilder to think, well, so I might not turn pro in 26, I might not turn pro this year, but with all my experience, all my knowledge and everything that I've learned, what can I do with that in 5 years' time? So I guess the take-home message is that it doesn't really matter what your situation is. I think bodybuilding is something that you can, like I say, if you really want to do it, you can cultivate your life to make it slot in and make it work. Whether that's, like you guys training 6 times a week or me training 4 times a week. If you've got a family, if you haven't got a family, if you're training from home, you can make it work. Is what I'm saying. Your injury, Mike, you can get around it. You can be adaptable, and you can continue to progress. And I think that's a really cool thing to know, is that I can keep on going, I can keep making progress, and I think that's I think that would be the take home from all of this, is between all three of us.
100%. Fire emojis, fire. Anything, or if you ever have watched Castaway with Tom Hanks, fire. Anyway,
your
Steve,
old school references, Mike.
I know that I was going to throw in a dodgeball reference earlier, but
I did like dodgeball. Yeah,
I like that.
Do you remember at the end when Ben Stiller's on the sofa and it's like, I should have won that tournament. It was something related to that. But anyway, the time's passed and now that joke's kind of whistled in the way. But Steve, is there anything you would kind of summarize from everything that we've talked about?
Oh, I think Rob summed it up brilliantly. I just wanted to publicly just give Rob a massive shout out. I've obviously been in his corner the past years and seeing the effort that he's putting into things, and I don't see everything. Like, I know how much behind the scenes is going on, and talking about your background and hearing everything you're speaking here, it just makes me even more grateful to be your coach and to have your trust, and you as an individual, like your open-mindedness and willingness to work is just something I really appreciate you as a person, Rob. So I think communication is the absolute key to successful coaching or any relationship, actually. And Rob has my full trust, and I think I have his full trust, and that is what it makes our coaching relationship so powerful. And I'm so excited for this season for him. Good things, I think. But I'll make sure to link Rob's Instagram handle in the description, because, well, I don't know. You can say it, Rob. What's your Instagram handle? Because I'm going to forget it, or I won't recite it properly.
I've forgotten now. It's Rob
underscore. You've done a me.
Rob underscore. Yeah, Rob underscore.
Rob Physique Coaching.
Yeah, Rob underscore Physique Coaching. I think that's bad, isn't it? I don't even know my own thing.
Hey, don't worry, I've done it as well.
Yeah, Rob underscore Physique Coaching.
Fantastic. Yeah, I'll make sure that's linked in the description so people can check you out, follow your journey, and
thanks for that, Steve. I appreciate that, and I appreciate what you just said as well. And it goes without saying, I've said it to you before that I appreciate everything you've done for me, everything you've taught me, having my back, and Mike for also having my back. We've had a few conversations, and I've always got both of your support, and I'm more than grateful for it. And I know that you two will continue to push me where I want to go. So I appreciate that. And I appreciate you having me on as well. I was excited for this. I've been watching this for a long time, so it's cool.
You're a part of it now. There you go. You're part of the history, the movement. There you go. Making memories.
And on that note, if people are still listening, hopefully they are, do give us feedback. If you want Rob back on, if you've got questions for Rob, we can always bring him back on if Rob is open to it. And if you want to see more clients, I don't think this is something we're going to do every week, but maybe it'll be every other and once a month, whenever we can get a client that wants to come on and chat. I have a few people in mind that I think would enjoy this. Do let us know how you enjoyed it. I had a lot of fun chatting to you guys. So regardless, it was a good time. Even if people want to give us a thumbs down, I'm sure they won't, though.
Massively. Like, I'm really fired up. Like, to be honest, Rob, like, we always chat about bodybuilding, and I'm always really fired up from all of our chats. So, and it's definitely been the same thing here. So, it's been awesome. And I just want to have my selfish say and say, like, I respect and you inspire me as well. And, we competed together in 2023, and, we've been kind of friends ever since, and it's just been awesome. So, and again, I'm just so excited for you this year and in the future as well. So yeah, thanks, Rob.
No, thank you.
Thank you, Rob. Thank you guys for listening. We will catch you next week. Take care.
See you later, guys.
Thanks, guys.